A nice quick trip over to CK this morning. She was in the dining room, still sitting there from breakfast, which had probably happened. Let's see, I got there at 8:45. She probably finished at 8. Anyway, she was there. And so I took her down to the hall to get her a couple of truffles, and then it was so nice and warm, I decided I'd take her outside on the patio. So we went out on the patio a while, sat in the sun. Then we came back to her room. By that time, it was about time for exercises. So I took her to the exercise room, and amazingly, today she participated in the exercise where she lifts both her hands up high. And last time she raised only one, but today she raised both, which just amazed the leader, of course me too. But if you do something enough times, she'll learn how to do it, or will do it. Every day it seems someone is going to the hospital or dying around this place. A couple of nights ago, Margaret Taylor across the hall, she died. I told her about it. Right now, there are 2 or 3 vehicles out there from the fire department. I think 3, as I recall 2. I looked out, there were 2, now there were probably 3. That's a depressing thing to think that they send you to one of these places to die, because that's actually what happened. To me, it's depressing. They think that so much goes on here, you'll have fun. Well, fun it can't be had without family as far as I'm concerned, unless you've never had family to begin with, which a lot of people don't have. I'm going to show you a little something about Tacoma. I like Tacoma, and as you don't hear, as being a smaller town, I don't listen to the radio that much about it. And it seemed to be different from Seattle, which always seems to have some controversy, graft, or corruption going on. I don't hear about it here in Tacoma. So it seems different, but maybe it's not that much different. I read a couple of days ago that the city's going to buy back some property they sold. I think it's the original City Hall for $2 million more than they sold it, which couldn't have been that long ago, and still be in the same condition. They want to restore it. I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me. How come they got to pay $2 million more for it? They should have made the sale final when they sold it. But I'll show you some other pictures. Because you see, Tacoma never burned down like the central part of Seattle or San Francisco did. So we have these old buildings that once they were built, starting in about, 1860, I think they settled Alki in Seattle about 1856. So within 10 years they were coming here to Tacoma, building things. Some of those buildings built on the order of back east, where they were all brick, are still standing. In fact, the red brick buildings in Tacoma, there are many, many of them. It's also a city of towers, but I'll drag out a few. It's hard for me to get around and take these pictures. I got to do it from the bus window sometimes, so sometimes. This red clay that so many of these buildings were made from didn't necessarily have to be come from the clay right in Tacoma area, because being on the water and on Puget Sound, it could be barged here from any place, even in the old days, I think, because it'd be easy just to get it to the waterfront and truck it to, by wagon of course, anywhere where the factory was. Probably easier than but not a wagon 10 miles away and hauling it to Tacoma. Just take it off a boat on the waterfront and then half-mile away or within the area that might be the major part of Tacoma for many years. Tacoma is built on Commencement Bay. In the early days of sail, well, when the sailing ships came before steam, they would come empty but with ballast. Ballast very frequently was in the form of rock, bricks, cobblestones. So over the period of years, it was a problem what to do with this ballast. So they started paving streets with them. The same thing was going on in Seattle because they had the same situation. To pick up their lumber, they had to unload their ballast, and they eventually became streets in Tacoma, Seattle. And when they're going to do the job right, instead of digging it up and surfacing the street, they just put asphalt over the cobblestones. But over a period of time, that can get very rough. And Tacoma Avenue, for instance, is essentially one long speed bump. Someday they're going to have to do something about it. Tacoma is just a short distance from the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, which was built, it was early in the 40s or 50s, and blew down in a big wind.